Alright, let's go into cleaning our bolt. Let's give it a little squirt of our handy dandy spray cleaner. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but that cleaner is good for plastic and all sorts of things. A lot of these guns have polymer parts that some of those chemicals may eat up. Now, we're going to basically give this the same treatment. Get your cotton swab out. Clean all the little crooks and crannies that you can. Down in all the little grooves. 22 ammo, the cheap stuff that I'm guilty of shooting, which probably a lot of people are, has some kind of funky powder that leaves a lot of residue. And we're just trying to get rid of all that powder residue and get it all good and clean to start with, so we can get it dirty all again. But it's part of the process. But anyway, we're just going to take and swab it down good. Wipe it down real good. And that's pretty fairly good and clean. And we're going to give it the same treatment. I'm going to use this gun oil I use is super thin. It's almost got the consistency of water. And I'm going to run a little along the bolt on the firing pin here, down in the little spots. And then here on the extractor, I'm going to try and get it a little to work back in there. There's a little spot we didn't get too clean, but alright, it's lubed up. And you can give it a little, just a little hit here and there where you think it's going to ride on the receiver at. And that's basically ready to go back in the gun. Now we can take the charging handle and we can give it a little shot too. And we want to let those dry for a minute, and then we'll start reassembly. Alright, here we are. We've got our bolt cleaned and lubricated. And one little spot that needs some lubrication is right here where it rides against the hammer. Give it a little there. And then your trigger group, this was pretty clean. And I put just a little bit of lubricant on there. Lubricant is going to attract any kind of powder residue, so you want as little as possible and still do the job. So, we've got all that. Take the receiver, put your charge handle and rod back in, seat them where they should be. There's a little groove in there. Then you're going to pull the charge handle back, and it needs to come back in a 90 degree, not in a bind. And I have to use two hands to do that. But anyway, we get it pulled all the way back. Then we're just going to take our bolt and drop it in. Just sits in there. Then the charge handle, whoop. Alright, here we go. We've got our charge handle and rod back in the action, as it were. And this thing needs to slide back, and this is the only way I know to do it, is with a little screwdriver or tool. Slide it straight back, hold in place. Now you got to kind of work the bolt back in there. Hold pressure down on this front end of the bolt and let it drop back in there. When you got it right, it'll slide back up. There you are. Alright, next is the trigger group. And it'll slide up in there and the holes will line up in the same manner we took it apart. We're just going to tap these into place. Get that one started. Get the other one lined up. And after you do this 3 or 4 times, it'll get easier and easier. We're going to take our bolt buffer, put it back into place. Like I said, this is aftermarket, so it's a little tighter. There it is. And there's your action put back together. Check the work. Everything seems to be operating properly. Alright, here we go on our reassembly. Again, I try to center up that safety. And then it's just a matter of dropping it back into the stock. We're going to take and start this screw. Get it fairly snug. Slide the barrel band back on, and I like to keep the screw on the side of the bolt, the charge handle. We're going to run it down good and snug. Going back to this bolt, screw, and tighten it just good and snug. And there we have it. Check the operation. Check your safety. Everything's working. Ready to take to the range and shoot several hundred rounds through, get dirty and clean again. Thanks much for looking. Keep checking back.